C.S. Lewis's novel Perelandra provides a step-by-step examination of how psychological manipulation functions. It uses the framework of a science fiction story to map the mechanics of a mental attack. Lewis sets the narrative on the planet Venus, which he imagines as a vast ocean world. Living in this environment is a being known as the Green Lady, who exists in a state of complete innocence. The conflict centers on a human defender named Ransom, who arrives to protect her. Ransom faces a specific biological disadvantage. He requires sleep. His opponent, a demonic entity possessing a human body, known as the Unman, operates with mechanical stamina. Looking at Lewis's text here, we see how this entity operates across two distinct modes of behavior. While it acts sophisticated when conversing with the lady, the moment she looks away, it devolves into a mindless automaton that spends its off hours cutting the rinds off plants and tearing fur from local animals. This physical imbalance creates an inescapable war of attrition. The entity doesn't need to win a fair fight. It only needs to maintain pressure until the human defender collapses from exhaustion. The Unman does not rely on overt violence or supernatural possession. Instead, it wages its attack solely through polite, relentless conversation. This creates a unique problem for Ransom. The Green Lady is so pure she lacks the cognitive framework to understand the concept of malice. You cannot warn her about a threat when she has no definition for what is bad. Because the Unman cannot appeal to darker instincts that don't exist, it pivots to weaponizing her inherent virtues. Its strategy is to twist her natural desire to do good into something destructive. Corruption in this context bypasses traditional defenses by masquerading as a new, profound version of morality. The Unman begins its assault with storytelling. It feeds the lady edited, tragic tales of human women who suffered hardships but acted independently of any higher authority. Through these stories, the entity introduces the concept of the great risk. It frames the act of breaking her creator's rules as a brave sacrifice required to elevate her world to a higher state of existence. Ransom counters this by citing historical figures from Earth, like the Roman Empress Agrippina. He uses these examples to show that what the lady perceives as noble unselfishness usually leads to devastation. By framing rebellion as a tragic necessity, the Unman effectively neutralizes her natural instinct to obey. The manipulation then moves to linguistics. In this passage, the Unman alters her perception of reality by teaching her loaded English words, specifically creative, intuition, and spiritual. The assault eventually shifts to the physical world. The Unman dresses the lady in feather robes and hands her an artifact from Earth, a small pocket mirror. The Unman defines the mirror as a tool to walk alongside oneself and actively delight in their own beauty. She takes the mirror and gazes at this alongside woman in total silence for nearly a minute. The mirror acts as a tool to fracture her unified consciousness. It forces her mind to split into two distinct entities, an observer and an observed ego. The effect of this psychological pressure becomes visible during a sudden storm. A flash of lightning illuminates the lady's face, revealing an expression that Ransom has never seen on her before. She is beginning to actively enjoy the pathos of her situation. She is adopting the self-important mannerisms of a tragic heroine on a stage. This reveals the Unman's true objective. To win this war, the entity never needed her to become actively malicious. Total victory occurs as she views herself externally. The text states, the external and dramatic conception of the self was the enemy's true aim, making her mind a theater in which that phantom self should hold the stage. He had already written the play. Our deepest failures occur not when we choose evil, but when we turn our minds into a theater where the ego holds the stage.